Kia ora, good evening. Nationwide property values for September have increased 6.4% over the past year and 1.1% over the past month.
The increase means property values are now 16.3% above the previous market peak of 2007. However, after inflation, value adjustments remain below the peak at 5%. In Southland, current market values average just over 206,500 and are over 10% below the 2007 peak values. Gore residential property values average almost $184,000, gaining 3.4% over the past 12-month period. And in Invercargill, average resident values are a little over $207,000, more than 6% below the 2007 peak.
City Council-owned company Holdco wants to increase its borrowing capability by $132 million to take advantage of future business opportunities like OtagoNet and forestry. Invercargill-based financial advisor Stephen O'Connor is urging the City Council to take a cautious line when considering investment outside of core council activities, especially if using uncalled share capital. Hunter Andrews first asked Mr O'Connor to define an uncalled share.
Uncalled shares, Hunter, are simply shares that haven't been paid for. So the shares have been issued. At the moment, the Holdco has about $67 odd million worth of shares that they've issued to the council, but the council hasn't yet been asked to pay for them. And the proposal is to increase that to $200 million worth.
Who's ultimately liable for that money at the end of the day?
Well, if the council has to pay for the shares, then effectively the ratepayers have to find the money somewhere.
They're looking at investing in various infrastructural assets, electricity in particular. What are your thoughts on their proposals?
Well, from what we've seen, OtagoNet is on the radar. Clearly, they have the option to increase their shareholding to 50% there. And there's a report due very shortly from KPMG, I understand, which will give the council a steer as to whether that's a good buy or not. But we seem to be hearing on a daily basis that they're looking to expand in other areas. That they did say in the consultation documents that they were looking at other energy assets, i.e. wind farms, whatever. But I see from this morning's paper that we're now talking about expansion and further expansion in forestry. The council already has a significant investment in forestry through city forests, and they're looking to expand there. So, I mean, what is the role of council ultimately, and what or should Holdco be looking at further investing, I think, are very interesting questions that need to be answered.
What are the risks? I mean, we're being told that these are very solid assets that they would be looking at, and we've got experienced members on boards and, basically telling us that they would be trusted investments. What are your thoughts on these areas, energy and forestry?
Well, clearly the energy sector is a utility business, and the risks are lower in there, but all businesses have risks. And it depends on what prices you pay for the assets in the first place. I think the biggest risk in the energy sector is probably regulation risk if there was to be changes in government, and we saw how the prices of the listed energy companies were affected by what the Greens and Labor had to say, or what they were proposing. So even though energy is a utility and should be a lower risk, there are risks. But I think the biggest potential risk is the fact that they're going to be borrowing all this money to invest. And that's all very well at the moment while interest rates are low, but who's to say that they won't increase? And who's to say that there couldn't be events that would cause the banks to maybe call in loans? I mean, there are very, very high risks involved in investing, and particularly where you use debt, and I'm not quite sure that the council should be the one that's getting involved here.
It sounds like you're urging caution.
I would be very, very cautious. I attended the consultation meeting the other day, and I intend to put in a submission to council on this, and just urging caution when it comes to using debt.
New Zealand red meat farmers have confirmed there's widespread support for an industry reform around a cooperative model according to Meat Industry Excellence. Preliminary results of recent research and analysis show 86% of farmers would or may support a New Zealand meat industry restructure and are more open than originally thought to the notion of committed supply as a means of underpinning industry restructuring. Almost 2/3 of respondents believed the co-op model would deliver gains, around a third weren't sure and 4% thought they would be worse off. However, there was a lack of certainty and trust amongst farmers about how contracts, discounts and premiums currently operate. The findings come from a nationwide telephone survey of 800 red meat sector farmers. Venture Southland is encouraging residents in the Waihopai Toitoi's ward to have their say on future community development initiatives, including attractions, events, amenities, activities and business opportunities. The Southland Plan is a community concept plan that will cover the farming communities, the urban areas and the scenic and tourist areas of the Waihopai Toitoi's ward. There's an online version of the form or suggestion boxes, and forms are available from businesses within the ward, which include Wyndham, the Catlins, Gorge Road, Edendale and Woodlands. The closing date for forms to be received is October 22nd. Stay with us after the break. A Lego build with a charity connection, plus it's Great and Grands Month. Welcome back. Improving the housing for everybody so everyone has a suitable place to live is what charity Habitat for Humanity is all about. And during their Awareness Week this week, they're getting the younger generation involved. The second annual Lego Build Challenge was underway at the Invercargill Workingmen's Club this year, where budding architects and builders created houses from bricks provided by Lego as part of the nationwide exercise.
We build houses, or sometimes we buy them, and then the families work through a process, are chosen, and they buy them back off us over time. So it enables some people who would struggle for a deposit to get themselves into a home of their own.
Do you know how many you've helped through this process to date?
Yes, we just had a look at that before. So 16 families since Habitat was established in Invercargill in 1996. And over 60 children are amongst those families too, so that's important to have a safe place to live.
Today's activity is targeting children mainly, with the Lego Build. Tell us about that.
The Lego Build is a way of drawing awareness of Habitat for Humanity to everybody and to children, and the need for a safe home and an environmentally friendly home. Some of the children have pointed out to us things they've been learning, so we're learning too.
Creative minds and little fingers were kept busy as they designed and built their concept of a suitable place to live.
Today they are just required to build a house that gives a vision of their ideal home. After they've created their house, they have an hour or so to build that. It's then photographed, uploaded onto the website, and they encourage family and friends to vote for that, and there are Lego prizes to be earned.
The brief included designing and building a decent home, including affordability, habitability and sustainability.
What sort of creations have you seen so far today?
Some very lovely gardens, some really interesting creations they were all furnished when they're finished as well, some of them, and even have people in beds.
Concepts were well thought out. Some had paddocks for horses, parking for the boat, and mono-pitch roof lines proved popular. One individual's master build included robotic maintenance and alfresco dining.
He's got a very environmentally friendly house. It has solar panels on it, I believe, and it's got people that talk to each other, so no other outside workmen are going to be needed to operate that house.
Habitat brick homes can also be built at home and entered online. Entries close on the 12th. Margot Southland, South Today News. On the Wings of Culture is a Chinese photographic exhibition that opened at the Royal Gallery in Don Street today, and the works offer a glimpse of China's cultural regeneration. Many pieces on show depict cultural performance, and due to their strong sense of family, attending shows and opera together is a popular pastime. Ancient architecture, landscapes and a sharing of Chinese tradition also feature.
One of them is with red words and small papers with some black words on it. That's from the ancient time. People call a kind of monster named Nian, which means New Year, and it come out and eat some like weak people. So people want to get rid of it. They believe the monster is afraid of red, so they put red everywhere on the door, on the window, and as the time goes by, people won't believe there is a monster named Nian anymore, but the culture is that made.
There's 3 men jumping in a kung fu stance. They're in a special place as well.
That's a temple in China named Shaolin Temple, and that's the most famous place for the Chinese Kung Fu, and mostly people go there and study, not really study, but they see the Kung Fu show and performance.
Next to it is a topography photo.
That one is actually from 4 of the famous inventions in China, and that one, in the old time, when people print something, they gotta make one wood board with all the words on and print one. That's really a waste of wood. And later on, people get to know, why don't we put every word in a single small wood and we get those together, and that's an actual article and we can print it. So that after using this print, we can get it apart and make a new one, print again. So it's really, really smart of way.
Greats and grands will have to be quick to book into a series of free workshops being held at the library to celebrate Greats and Grands Month. Those who need help on the technical side can attend workshops on the social media network Facebook, and others wishing to learn how to contact friends and relatives using voice and voice-over internet software Skype. Library Community Connections Coordinator Diana Hosted says that sometimes it's a challenge for older people to find user-friendly instructions on social media and other communication tools. Preservation Assistant Stephen Doig will be on hand to offer book and document preservation tips at a book restoration workshop, and there will also be a Greats, Grands and Kids story reading and craft workshop. And that's all from the news desk this Tuesday. We're back tomorrow. From the news team, good night.